Ooh.
Good morning, everybody. We hope you are really well today. My name's Robert, and this lovely young lady on the screen with me is Claire. You will see that Angela is unfortunately missing today. For those of you that were in the session yesterday or have seen the replay, unfortunately, Angela's dad has been taken ill, and so she's had to go up to Leeds to understandably be with her parents during the difficult time. On the session yesterday, she mentioned that they'd called an ambulance. The ambulance didn't come because they felt that they weren't needed. And through medicine and rehydrating, he is feeling a lot better this morning. But Angela has been up most of the night with him, so is not able to join us. I did speak to her yesterday afternoon and passed on all your love. So there we are. And I'm probably going to have to recap that later, as there doesn't appear to be any people joining us at the moment. Right, so my name is Robert. I will be facilitating today along with Claire. Claire, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello there. Yes, I'm Claire, friend of Robert and Angela, and known to the knitters in Leighton Buzzard, of which several of us are. And mad enough to come onto the screen and talk to you. Yeah, doesn't suit everybody, but there we go. We're open to volunteers, by the way, if anybody wants to come on and chat. So yes, I am a sewer and a crocheter and a mediocre knitter.
Okay, and for those of you that don't know me, I do knitting, crochet, cross-stitch, tapestry, and lots of other things as well. So I think we'll start as we normally do. We've got 5 people in the room already, so we'll just go through and say good morning to everybody. So we have David from Leeds. Morning, David.
Ooh.
We have Dawn. Morning, Dawn.
Hello, Dawn.
We have Judy. Morning, Judy.
Morning.
We have Lindy. Morning, Lindy.
Hello, Lindy.
And Marion. Morning, Marion.
Hi, Marion.
So one other tiny thing about today, we are finishing at 11 o'clock because I do need to come off and do some work for my company. They've allowed me to have this hour as a community hour this morning. So we will be finishing at 11, so slightly earlier than usual, and I do apologise in advance for that. I am trying to make sure that next week's sessions I get the full 2 hours every day to be able to do it for you. So as usual, if you want to send us your work in progresses, please do. You can send them through email. If you have my email address, you can send them through Facebook or Facebook Messenger. And if you have my mobile number, you can WhatsApp them as well. I have had some already, but what I'd like to do is kind of get my knitting out and do a row. So maybe about halfway through, then we'll start looking at what's come through. So what did you do with yourself yesterday afternoon, Claire?
I was cooking. I did cheese scones.
Oh, wow.
The cheese scones I've been banging on about for weeks, but I never got round to. So they were very nice, and basically tidied up the kitchen after some pretty awful cooking aftermath. And then I made us a veggie sausage and bean tomato casserole thing with homemade dumplings. So there's enough of that for 2 days, so I don't have to ruin the kitchen again today. So that's what I was mostly doing yesterday, which was fine. It just generally having a bit of a tidy round. The problem is working from home, it creates an awful lot of mess and mugs and stuff. Believe it or not, yes, I am working from home.
Oh, no, I know you are. So we've got lots of messages in the chat already, so let's have a quick look at those. So Lindy says, please pass on best wishes to Angela. Marion says, good morning. Judy says, hello, love to Angela. Dawn says, good morning, just had a lovely walk up the fields with Maisie, now settling down for a cuppa and some crochet. Love to Angela. David says, good morning. Morning, David. Marion says, I do hope Angela's father gets better soon. Lots of love to her. So I'm sure she'll be watching the replay, so she will get all of those messages as well. And when I talk to her later today, I'll let her know. I'm just going to pass over to Claire for 1 second. Sure. Because I've got double patio doors over there, and that's what's causing the reflection in my glasses. But if I take them off, I can't see. So 2 seconds.
No, go for it. Right then. So behind me today is a different quilt. This one's one of mine, which I am in the middle of trying to quilt at the moment. So it's sort of loose. Oh, if I lean that way, there you go. It's sort of loosely based. Well, it started off as a scrappy quilt, and then as I put it together, I arranged it in colours, and it sort of has a bit of a Coventry Cathedral windows theme. So it's one of those things that you kind of had an idea at the outset, and then it kind of came together as its own piece, really. So yes, hopefully next week I'll be finishing that one off. So yes, I'm absolutely delighted to show you one of mine instead of one of my mother's. So yeah, so that's what I get up to when I'm not doing things like this.
Okay,
So,
and so the answer to my question about my glasses is nothing's going to work. So never mind.
we'll have to live with it, Chuck. Don't worry.
We will. So that's a lovely quilt in the background. Did you just say that that's not one of yours? That's your mum's as well.
No, that one is one of mine. I thought I'd show you one of mine today instead of, but it's still in the process of being quilted.
Right. Okay.
So if I'm not about on screen next week, that's because I'm going to be doing that, and that's not a job that is really very watchable.
So what does it mean when you do the quilting? So you've done the top layer and then you put the padding on underneath and then you stitch back in. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's got a top layer, which is the pretty one. It's got a layer of wadding.
Yeah.
And it's got a backing as well.
Right.
And the quilting is the process of sewing those three layers together.
Oh, okay.
Okay, in the olden days, quilting is a 600-year-old, or patchwork is a 600-year-old subsistence craft. Okay, it was never originally decorative, it was purely practical. Okay, but quilting is, the patchwork is cutting up bits of fabric and sewing it back together. Who on earth would do that sort of nonsense? And quilting is a process of sewing the layers together. Now, you could have quilts which are called whole cloth quilts, where the pattern is intrinsic in the quilting. So you don't necessarily have, you don't have a patchwork top, you have a plain cotton top, and it's the quilting that actually forms the pattern. I used to really love doing those, but they take ages. But with that one at the moment, I'm effectively just joining the top layer through the wadding to the bottom layer with some pretty invisible stitches at the moment, because I don't want, the top is busy enough. And then what I'll do is I'll do some nice quilting on my machine round the borders to hold it all together. But the quilting holds it all together. Right,
okay. And how long will it take you to do it, do you think?
Oh, weeks.
Oh, right.
The problem is when quilts get to the being put together stage, I start to really run out of space and time. So that's quite often the point they get thrown in a corner and I do something else more interesting. But now I've got the time and I'm going to have to just make the space. I can start thinking about putting some together again. So yeah, it's going to take a while because I'm doing a lot of it by hand at the moment. And then the quilting on the borders I'll do on the machine.
Right.
Because it's quite a large thing to shove under a sewing machine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a knack to it and an awful lot of swearing.
Yes. Dawn says your quilt reminds her of a stained glass window. Beautiful. It really does look like one.
Yeah, that's kind of, well, it was a scrappy quilt to start with, which I made in sort of very small blocks. And as I started to arrange the blocks, that's sort of the theme that came out of it. So I went with it. And yes, it does. So when it's done, I will come back and have a proper wave and show you it properly, or take a decent photo. Yeah. So that's one I'm working on at the moment, and I had another one that was part done come out of the loft when I did the sort out. So I thought, maybe I ought to do something with that as well. So yes, this really is the finishing session that I had kind of planned.
Right. Okay. And did you get your last round finished on your virus blanket yesterday?
Very nearly. It's taking a long time to do rounds because rounds on a virus are about four laps.
Yeah.
So it's actually taken a long time. I nearly did it, but now I've got enough yarn, I think, to do a further round. So I might as well use. I'm now on my 6th cotton cake,
Right.
and you know, 5/6 of a cotton cake is not much use to anybody. So I might as well use as much yarn as I can and finish it all off, and put another round on. So I'm going to do that.
Okay.
I have decided.
So,
So how about
Brigitte,
you, Rob? Oh,
sorry, that's right. Brigitte has just joined us. So good morning, Brigitte. She says she's back from a walk. Depressing weather and depressing to see the emptiness of movement of people and traffic. How is Angela doing? So, Angela is doing okay. Her dad is much better, but she's staying up there, and she was up most of the night, so that's why she's not with us today. Brigitte, you missed the start of the session where we said today is only going to be an hour, because technically I'm supposed to be working, but have been given a community hour to be able to do this. And then I need to go back to work, and I'm negotiating about next week. So there may be some changes next week as well. Lindy says, Claire, I don't quilt, but I've been overwhelmed by all the quilts at the NEC show that I've been to a couple of times. Yours looks equally fabulous.
Thank you, Lindy. I go to that every year. And even if you do quilt, most of the work there is pretty overwhelming. It is astonishing stuff, but some of what you see there is the best in the world. So, yeah, it's kind of like my annual recharge of my sewing mojo, my sojo. There you go. So it's, yeah, no, I really do enjoy it as a show.
I think we all feel like that though when we go to shows. We see things, we look at stuff and go, wow, that's well beyond my skill capabilities. I look at even some of the things that people on here are doing, so top-down cardigans and Fair Isle, and I look at it and just think that's well beyond my capabilities.
Yeah, I think, but also with some other shows, yeah, you get some of the best in the world, but you also get some things where you think, I could probably do that with a bit of a stretch. And also sometimes you get to see where you've been very, very hung up over your own errors or even minor errors or points that don't meet or things like that. Then you can actually see quilts or other people's work on display that show some of the similar errors, and you actually realise that it's okay. The quilt police are not going to come round and bang your door down and take your sewing machine away if one of your points don't meet. Everybody does it. So actually, in some ways, it's inspiring, but it also can be quite reassuring when you realise that one minor little area that you might be hung up over, because I don't know whether it's crafters, I don't know whether it's the English, I'm not sure, but we are so desperate to point out where the errors are in our work.
Yeah.
Somebody says, oh, that's a lovely thing. Oh, it is, but don't look at that bit over there because
Yeah.
Everybody does it, and we really, really shouldn't. We should just be able to go, yeah, I'm really proud of the job I did of that.
Yeah.
But I think a sense of humility has been beaten into us, and any pride has been beaten out. I'm not sure what it is, but we should be more chuffed with the time and the hours, and frankly, money in some cases, that we've put into it.
I remember when I learned how to cross stitch. I started with 2 small projects, and then I fell in love with the Amazing Grace poem and cross stitched the words and then a scene at the bottom of each scene, and I was really pleased with it. I went and got it framed, and I was how old was I? I was 19 at the time, and I was on a youth training scheme, so I was earning like £40 or £50 a week, and paid for the framing out my own money. Hung it up on my parents' wall. It was pride and joy every time somebody walked into the living room. It was the first thing that they saw. And then my sister was sat there one day and she went, Robert, she said, you've made a mistake in this, don't you? And I went, no. And I read it and I read it and I read it, and I couldn't see the mistake at all. I duplicated one of the words. And from that day to this, I've still got it, but
Yeah.
every time I pick it up, my eyes just automatically go to where there's the
They
double
would.
mistake.
They would. And it'll remind you of that moment as well.
Yeah.
Of that sinking feeling you had when it was pointed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lindy is saying, I embroider but can't see a straight seam on my sewing machine. Brigitte says, when I was younger, I wanted to do everything. Now I just do what I really feel is worth my while. I have too many years behind me now. Totally agree. That's a bit like me with spinning at the moment. I keep saying I'll do it when I get older and I have the time to be able to spin, but I bet when I get there, I don't want to do it. Dawn says, I went to a lace fair with my mother-in-law. There was a quilting group there celebrating their Ruby anniversaries. All the quilts were on the theme of red. They were stunning. They were selling kits that taught you a particular patchwork skill. So I bought a Japanese folded patchwork play ball. We'll send you a photo. That'd be lovely to see. Thank you, Dawn.
Japanese folding. In fact, most of the Japanese techniques are some of my favourites.
I'm just going to open up Facebook in the background so that when people send me messages, I can see them. Okay. And then Safi says, good morning. Morning, Safi.
Morning.
I'll do a recap on Angela at the end, if that's okay. And just to let you know that today's session is finishing at 11. Lindy says, but your mistake makes your cross stitch unique, and that shouldn't take away from your real achievement. No, that is true. I'm very, very proud of it, and the sentiment behind the poem. It's just, as Claire says, as soon as somebody points out there's a mistake, that's where your eye is drawn to straight away.
Yeah.
Brigitte says you will not have more time when you're older, Robert. I know. Yes, I'm kind of thinking that as well.
My mother's been never busier since she retired.
Everybody says that, though. When they retire, they don't know how they manage to work around doing other stuff.
Yes. Well, I suppose that's a good thing, really. I mean, unfortunately, my dad's kind of the other way. We keep trying to find him things to do. But
Yeah.
he was always busy with work anyway. He didn't have a massive amount of hobbies or people or interests. So does now, but it's taken a while. But I suppose it kind of depends on how work features in your life, really.
Right, Dawn's just sent that picture through, so let me have a quick look.
Right, so David says the reaction to my projects is normally, you knit that, but you're a man.
Yes, I get that as well, David, with everything.
Totally. Robert gets that. I rode motorcycles for nearly 25 years.
But Claire, you're not allowed to ride a motorcycle.
Well, you're certainly not allowed to take pieces of motorcycle into a motorcycle shop, and you're certainly not allowed to know what you're talking about either. So, oh, brilliant!
So that is the picture.
Patchwork ball. I've got a book of those.
Patchwork ball. And then that's what's inside.
Wow, that'll be beautiful. But yes, so I used to, or when I moved to a new town, I used to audition motorcycle shops and mechanics by how patronising they were to me. And the ones that talked to me as a human being used to get my work and money. So
yeah, I think lots of people on here have heard the story of what happened at Sheringham this year when Andrew and I walked into a shop, and it was me that wanted to go into the shop because I needed to buy a birthday present for a female friend. And we were looking around, and the owner came over and said, "Oh, you can take a seat by the door if you want to while she carries on shopping."
Yeah.
And then we both very quickly left the shop afterwards.
Well,
didn't buy anything.
For those who haven't met my husband, he's 6'2", and I'm barely 5'3". Okay, so normally, if the two of us used to go into a motorcycle shop, because I had reasonable size motorcycles. I wasn't pootling around on the little ones. In fact, I had a license longer than my husband. But anyway, that's aside. So if we too used to go into a motorcycle shop. The guy in the motorcycle shop obviously used to talk to my husband, and the conversation used to take place in this space right over my head between two 6-foot blokes. And every now and then my husband used to take great delight and go, no, she's the one shopping, she's got the checkbook, just to watch his face drop.
Good, serves him right.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to do that for a laugh, but unfortunately, for assorted reasons, those we don't have bikes anymore, but we do have a classic Mini, so that kind of replaced it.
I found out the other day my neighbour's got a classic Mini in their garage.
Oh yeah,
and we've been neighbours for since we moved in, so 15 years this year,
right.
and never ever knew that they had it in there.
Wow.
Small, tiny, and beautiful.
Yes, and like an absolute boot skate to drive.
He says he doesn't take it out very often.
No.
He prefers his bike.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was first driving it. I don't know if you're old enough, Robert, to be perfectly honest. When you learned to drive, did you learn to drive in a car with power steering?
No.
Right. So remember back to those days. Now suddenly find yourself in a car with no power steering and remember how to drive it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, because even things like reversing and parking is a bit different.
Yeah.
But there you go. Yes, when I learned to drive the first time round, I learned to drive twice, but that's it. Anyway, only posh cars had power steering, so the little ones.
Drive twice.
Yeah, well, because I learned to drive in my late teens, like most people usually did.
Yeah.
But after that, I only had motorbikes for years and years and years. So it was only actually when I moved to Leighton Buzzard that it gets cold here in the winter, icy here in the winter, and the roads are horrible, and the public transport's almost non-existent, that we decided to get me a car. So then although I had a license, I had a good half a dozen lessons again, just to remind myself how to do it. So effectively, I learned to drive twice.
So Linda has joined us. Morning, Linda.
Hello, Linda.
Just to let you know, Linda, we are finishing at 11 today. Not going on till 12 as usual. And I'll recap how Angela is towards the end. Lindy says no power steering was a real nightmare for small people like me.
It is. You end up with massive biceps.
I must admit, when I went from a car that didn't have power steering to a car that did have power steering, it was very difficult to get used to. So I can imagine that anybody who still has a car, like a classic car without it, and jumps in and out, will find it a real struggle.
Yeah, it takes a while for your brain to work the other way. And then also because other drivers forget how it is not having power steering. So if you are reversing or reversing out the parking space, it takes a bit longer and you need a bit more space.
Yeah.
And people forget how that used to be. It's a bit like heaving a bus around.
I must admit, though, having power steering didn't improve my parking or reverse parking at all. It was only when parking sensors got introduced that then helped. I would just go in too wide.
Yeah.
And I still try and avoid it where possible, but I am much better at it than when I passed my test.
Very good.
Brigitte says in 1981 she was the proud owner of 3 valid driver's licenses of different nationalities.
Very good.
So So I know German and English, and I'm guessing Abu Dhabi or Dubai, because I know that she was out there for a while. So what are you working on at the moment, Claire?
Well, here it is. Now, on Facebook, there was a photo going around of a very heavily crocheted interior of a house
Yes.
saying crafters on lockdown, or this is what
Yes.
happens in too much time. Well, oddly enough, there was one blanket in that picture that made me go, oh, that's interesting. So as well as having a giggle at it, it made me, it kind of slightly inspired me. It was a granny square blanket. It was in shades of green, but it was in very graduated shades of green, sort of like dark through to the light to the middle of the granny square.
Yeah.
So I'm having a go of that in greys. This is why I was talking a while ago about buying different shades of grey.
Yeah.
So I go from, black, through to that one, through to, that was not much of a difference between that one and that one, and a lighter grey, and, it's fallen on the floor, but this grey, so I'm making up the middle squares for granny squares, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to gradually go out in darker shades of grey through to black.
Oh, right.
As a granny square blanket.
Very nice.
Yeah, just playing a bit with colours and shades, really. And it'll be another pick up and put down project that I don't have to think very hard about.
Yeah.
Well, I say that. I've just had to look up and try and remember how to start off granny squares again. Oops. But I think I've got it now. So how about you? What stripe are you on, Robert?
So yesterday I was on orange. No, I was on the orangey pink yesterday, and I'm now into the pink. And I'm only going to use this outer pink and this middle purple. I'm not going to the inner purple or through to the last green.
Oh, right.
Only because I think we spoke about this yesterday. This is okay for the tip, this dark purple or grey.
It's a bit of a mood really, isn't it?
But I think it will spoil all of the brilliant colours in it if I have that as the last stripe on the top.
I thoroughly agree. I think it'll take the edge off.
Yeah. So I think I've probably got maybe 8 rows left and I'll be done.
Brilliant.
But each row is taking about 40 minutes at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think I need to, when I get to my cast off, I need to find the right kind of time to be able to cast it off so I can cast it off in one go rather than picking it up and putting it down.
Yes, I'm sure you're absolutely, yeah.
I think it's okay to do that in the middle of a row, but I think doing that on a cast off might become a bit more problematic.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you want to do it when you can actually get into a rhythm, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also another thing I dragged down from upstairs.
Yeah.
You remember textileartist.org that I keep going on about?
Yes. Yeah, and you've done the first week, haven't you?
I've done the first week, and I've started thinking that's the first week. Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
I'm not very good at this thing with cameras. There you go.
Nor am I.
I have to keep going the other way. Right. So, yep, I'm very proud of that, actually. It is quite a simple bit of sewing, but that was kind of the whole idea. It's not necessarily to come up with a show-stopping piece, but it's just to kind of go back to your roots and go back to what you really go back to what you enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
So, in terms of hand embroidery and hand sewing, Sashiko, which is a Japanese method, is something that I used to really enjoy doing. So I wanted to do something based on that. So that's what I did, and I've had starting to think about week 2 as well, which shall hopefully do over the weekend.
Okay. What is week 2? You said yesterday, but I can't remember.
No, that's fine. It's week 2 has been set by a different textile artist who does a lot of applique and layering and sewing different either fabrics or different mediums together. So I tell you, I will dig out the proper instructions next week. So it's more to do with finding complementary bits of fabric, even just scraps from around the house, and anything meaningful, and putting them together.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's not my usual thing, so it'll be a little bit out of my usual comfort zone.
Yeah.
Or certainly out of my thought zone. So it's something I'm probably going to have to think about quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what I was pondering this morning as I was wandering around getting ready. Dawn says, love Sashko and Kantha. Kantha is like an Indian running stitch. So that is basically an Indian quilting stitch. So if you see a lot of textiles that's quite heavily sewn or heavily quilted with a running stitch in various different colours, then that's Kantha. Lindy says, Claire, isn't it nice to be challenged a little bit? Absolutely, I totally agree. You can end up falling into the rut where you're using the same sort of colours and doing the same sort of project over and over again. And, if you like that sort of project and like those sort of colours, then that's fair enough. But it really is nice to be knocked out of your usual box on occasions. Because apart from anything, it's a bit of fabric or a bit of yarn. What's the worst that can happen? So yes,
Brigitte and Amagarami comes to mind.
Well, fair enough. But I'm sure Brigitte challenges herself on a regular basis.
I bet she does.
I've seen some of her work, and it certainly knocks my socks off. So there you go.
Yeah. Right, I have finished the row. So let's have a look at some work in progresses that are coming through. So Linda has sent a picture of the cardigan jumper that she started last week. So last week it looked like this. So she had sleeves and she just started the body. And now it looks like that.
Wow. Cool, that's come together, isn't it?
So it has, hasn't it? So I'm guessing that's the neck that she's doing now. And then I'm guessing it's done. She has also sent a picture of her quilting that she started last week. There we go.
Oh, lovely. Oh, of course. Yes, that's the one with it. Yeah.
It's in the middle blocks here. That's the superhero fabric that she had.
That's right. What a lovely job. And very even. Well done.
Absolutely. And I think she said that was for her grandson.
Oh, bless. Lucky chap.
Yeah. She says quilt top finished and it has now been layered and quilted. Well done. And Dawn sent some pictures through of Lizzie's Sashko.
Yeah, traditional Japanese. That's a lovely job. Yeah, that's the sort of thing I used to do quite a lot. Yeah.
I love that second one.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing I really want to get back into, actually.
Yeah. I quite like that symmetrical one there.
Yeah. Yep. Lovely.
Oh, wow. Right, let me just see if there are any other messages. I lose track because they come through in the evening as well, so I need to make sure. Ooh. Sorry if you can hear that.
Oh, you're right.
I've had breakfast as well, but did we do this one yesterday? Yes, we did. Okay. Now I'm sure I had.
Yeah, most of that was Dawn's, Becky's, wasn't it?
Lizzie, I think.
Lizzie.
Yeah.
That's right. So Safia, most of that was Dawn's daughter.
Lindy says my embroiderers group had a monthly challenge of doing a piece for someone else, which definitely took me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Greta says she's just not bothered about doing amigurumi. Linda says
vehemence, you're not bothered.
Linda says yes, it was for her grandson. Safia says fantastic needlework. You're very accomplished. That's to Lizzie. Lindy says I'm not doing amigurumi either, or fiddly toys made into lots of pieces. Okay, and we've just heard some of Lizzie's cantha come through.
Ah,
She's going to be framed for the kitchen window.
very good.
Oh, wow.
Oh, superb. Oh, look at that.
All the detail in that rabbit.
That is so clever.
Look at that.
I also love how the sun's designed as well.
Yeah, it's like a Celtic knot, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is the idea of cantha that you do the front and the back?
Well,
Or...
not. I mean, those are pictures made up using cantha stitch.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but it is quite a simple stitch. It's usually a running stitch of various lengths. So you can actually make some interesting designs without actually having to do anything particularly athletic with embroidery. So the stitch itself is actually quite simple, but you can do some rather fabulous things with it.
Sally sent this through yesterday. I'm hoping you can see it without reflection.
Oh, yeah.
Some of her patchwork that she's done.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about her 209 stitch floppy shawl.
Oh,
That
I'd
she
be
then had
interested.
to decrease the heart into half.
Good Lord. I'd be dead interested to see that finished, actually, because I'm interested to know what she means by a flippy shawl. So. Oh, there we go.
Just going to check the Facebook page to see if there was anything on there. No, nothing new in there.
Fair enough. Oh, hang on. Right, so Dawn says check out Angela Damon. Does a lot of Cantha kits. Well, I will. Thank you very much. In fact, I'll do that now.
So the other Linda has just joined us. Hi, Linda Ellis. Linda, just to let you know, we're only going until 11 o'clock today. And what I'll do about 10 minutes before we finish is just kind of do a recap on Angela, so that everybody then knows, if that's okay. Are you looking at that website, Claire?
I am having a quick look, yes. Yes, if you could. Oh.
Let me just share the website so that everybody can see it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, that's how it works. Right.
I know somebody who would love those sunflowers.
Yeah. Beautiful. If you go back, there's one that says Cantha Kits. Okay, it's right here.
Yes. Oh, there's the hair that Lizzie did.
Ah. Nice.
I quite like the elephant.
Yeah.
If you put some beads in on that blanket and his headband, that would look really stunning.
I think it would. I think it's a lovely idea.
Oh, wow. They're beautiful. Oh, look at that flamingo.
Fabulous. Right then, Safia asks, please can I ask if you would share your link again for new joiners, as some of my knit and natter ladies might like to join you.
Yes. Where would you like me to share it, Safia? Because I do share it in all the groups that I belong to, and it's on. If you go to Angela and Robert Web TV, the link is in there as well. But if you want me to share it somewhere else, then please let me know. Lindy says, is the floppy edge the 900 cast on one? Yes, it is. Brigitte says, flippy edge shawl makes it a wavy edge. Sent you a picture, Robert. Okay.
Brill.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see. Right. Gotcha.
So the 900 stitches are for this edge, and then you cast down to go into the normal shawl.
Got you. Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Still think it's ever so brave, but yes.
You have to end up with an odd number after putting two together. Okay. And I guess that's why you start with 902.
Yeah.
So then you go down to 451.
Okay, and Marion's done one in alpaca.
Oh, I bet that is lovely and soft.
Yeah. Well, yes, me too, Lindy. Lindy says, may challenge myself to that sometime. Well, absolutely. Now I know it's very popular. I might take a look at it as well, but it's not like I've got enough on at the moment.
Yeah.
I should add it to the list. Safia says,
sorry, go on.
Safia says, cool, we'll share it from there. I just think that you guys are great company on a morning and know some of my friends would enjoy the time. Well, that's lovely of you to say so. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Safi. We enjoy doing it with you as well, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. Right, so just to recap the plan then. So today we're finishing at 11. I've put links in automatically for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to start at 11 and just do 11 till 12, just so I can have a bit of a lie-in, I think. We won't do Sunday because we don't do Sundays. And then we'll be back on Monday. Monday will be hopefully 10 till 12, depending on whether I can get the community hours out of John Lewis or not, which I'm hoping to be able to find out today. And then we'll do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday next week. So, oh, no, hang on. No, we'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not Friday, then Saturday next week, I think. Unless there is a need to do it every day, I don't mind. As long as my work's paying for me to do it, I don't mind. So there we go. Right. So, and then Angela. So, for those of you that missed the beginning, Angela drove to Leeds yesterday as her dad was waiting for an ambulance. The ambulance didn't come. They prescribed antibiotics, and then he took a turn for the worse in the afternoon. They were going to send an ambulance, but then decided not to again. He has now taken the antibiotics, and Angela has been on watch all night. So he's very, very tired, but her dad seems a lot better this morning. So she decided not to join us today, but hopes to be back at some point soon. However, her parents don't have broadband, so unless she can find somewhere in the house that has really, really good 4G, then she won't be back for some time. She does miss you all, though, and sends her love. And when I speak to her later, I will send all of your love back. So, Angela, if you do manage to get to watch the replay, hello from everybody. We miss you and hope to see you again soon.
Super. Well,
so Claire, what's your plans for this afternoon?
Oh, well, it's the last day of term today.
Right.
So there's some pieces that I need to do, some paperwork I need to do. So I will be working this afternoon. And then what else? Because it's a Friday, Mort comes home a little bit early. So I might be making an apple crumble.
Right, okay.
That's a bit random, but there we go. No, I have some. Well, I mean, they're eating apples, but they'll still crumble. But I have some that need using up. So yes, I shall probably be doing that this afternoon. And again, a general tidy around and getting some work done. How about you?
I've got some stuff that I need to do for work. They've asked me to do something on a spreadsheet I started the other day, which is quite complex. So I need to work out how that's going to work. And then I need to have a phone call with my boss to find out what the plan is for next week.
Sure.
And then I can't log into the training system that I need to use. So not going to be able to do an awful lot. I will probably try and get some more of this finished. I don't think it'll be finished for tomorrow, but it might be finished for Monday. In fact, I'd be disappointed if it wasn't finished for Monday, considering I've said there's not a lot left to do.
It's famous last words.
Right. So more comments coming through. Lindy says, so lots of people saying pass on love to Angela. Lindy says, I'm planning on doing a rhubarb crumble, like mine's thinking. Linda says, thanks for the recap. Linda says, starting a Tunisian crochet along. Always wanted to learn how to do Tunisian crochet.
I talk about that actually on Facebook and in various places. I should have to look that one up.
Yeah. Brigitte says, please read out about the stitches before signing off, as those wanting to do the flippy edge shawl will need to know.
Okay, it starts with 902 stitches.
Yeah.
And then decrease to half, as long as it's you decrease to an odd number.
Oh, right. So you can. Oh, right. Okay. So you start with as many stitches as you want, as long as it's an even number. And then after you've done the 10 rows, you do knit 2 together for a whole row, which then gives you the flippy edge.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Linda says, yes, it's the Knitting and Crochet Guild Tunisian Crochet Along.
Ah, right.
And Lindy says it's Lindy Zubery's Crochet Along for the Knitting and Crochet Guild and has its own Facebook page. There we go.
Jolly good. Well, I won't be in a position to do it, but it's always nice to see what other people are doing.
Indeed.
And to be able to talk about it.
Yeah. So for tomorrow, folks, those of you that are going to join us, please do send through your pictures in advance. Even if you're not going to join us and you want other people to see what you're up to, that's fine. Send them through in advance. So find me on Facebook if you have it, Robert Rowley, or find Robert and Angela Web TV. You can upload the pictures there. Or if you have my email address or phone number, then please use WhatsApp or email and we'll share them out tomorrow. It is really nice when we get pictures of what other people are doing, because it's the same as going to a group, isn't it? Because that's generally what you do at a group, is ask everybody what they're up to.
Yeah. Yes. It's also nice to see somebody else's work other than just ours.
Yeah. And if you've got any technical questions, please do send those through as well. And if we don't know the answers, we'll either use the group or use Google, like we have done last week for Peter with his sewing machine. How's your square going, Claire?
Fine. I'm doing the insides in a light grey at the moment.
Yeah.
So that, I can do them a colour at a time. And I've got to number 3 and I've frogged this one about 3 times so far.
Oh, no.
No, it's been so long since I've done a granny square thing. I've occasionally forgotten how to do bits and pieces, or I've miscounted the number of stitches, or it's not quite the same size.
Yeah.
So I'll get back into a groove soon enough. But when you haven't done something for a long time, and it takes a while for you to remember quite where it all goes.
Marion saying, Ollie's hearing my voice and comes out to see what's going on and then gets disappointed when he can't see me. Hi, Ollie! Apparently his tail just wagged when I said hello.
Very good.
My cats have been unusually quiet today. Both sound asleep.
Yeah, it's not so nice out today, so I wonder if they're just being a bit sleepy.
Yeah. Don't blame them. If I could go back to bed, I probably would.
Yeah, I was a little late up this morning.
Lindy says,
So,
is Ollie still getting his proper exercise, Marion, or just playing with Eeyore? So for those of you that don't know Ollie, Ollie is Richard's guide dog, and he loves Eeyore toys. And every time he gets a new one, his mission is to destroy it. I think she mentioned earlier in the week that the neighbour was taking him out for a walk.
jolly good. Yes, well, he's not a small hound, so I can imagine he takes quite a lot of walking.
Yeah. Yes, Lindy, he's getting a lot of exercise. Richard walks him, and then local groups and neighbours are taking him as well. They've been brilliant. Oh, that's good to hear.
Excellent. Right, see, I'm now actually getting into the groove with this one now. It's working. Yeah. So that's okay. I think we've bypassed the mental block, whatever it was.
So Linda says that sounds exactly like my dog Sid. His mission is to destroy any squeaky toy.
Oh. Yes, I don't know what it is about Eeyores, but Eeyores are his thing. It's kind of cute, really.
Marion says she'll take a photo of his toys tomorrow.
Lovely. Oh.
Lindy says, excellent news. Thanks, everybody, for another great session. Take care and keep well. So we are now at 11 o'clock, folks. And unfortunately, that does mean I am going to close the session so I can go and do some work. But have a lovely day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Claire, for co-hosting with me.
Thank you.
And tomorrow we start at 11 o'clock, not 10 o'clock. So I will see you then. And Claire, please do co-host with me if you can.
I should be delighted. Thank you very much.
All right, take care, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye.